are listening to the most comprehensive paranormal archive on the internet.
Welcome to Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am talking about haunted places in the U.S. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, and that is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. And there are many ways to support the show. You can share the show with others, and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can sign up for the Patreon feed and get all the extra content there for as little as $1 a month. And you can also check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts and other items there. Some other items there with designs made by friends of the show. Also, please follow friends of the show. That would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and is the co-host of the show on Saturdays, whenever possible, whenever she can make it. And Ricky of the Anything Is Possible podcast, who I join on his show on Sundays to talk about all things paranormal. As well as Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, which I call into frequently, and the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows, as well as my own, online 24/7 for free. And I think that takes care of everything, so I see you all there in the chat and the audience. Thank you for being here and listening live, and thank you to all you who listen after the fact, through recordings and through podcasts and all those things. So we are in the middle of haunted places here, like I said. A couple things to keep in mind. The way I do this is I do researches online and I get summaries written up about each of these places, and then in the episode description I include at least usually two articles per location for you all to check out, so you can see pictures and things like that and get more information. And but also keep in mind that these articles, they are written at a certain date, and so if you are thinking of visiting a location, please make sure that it is okay for you to do so. Check on the times of schedules of when it is open to the public and all those things, so that you can go there. And because I never recommend trespassing for all kinds of reasons. So I think that takes care of everything with that. So let me get to the material here. I don't think I clicked on a couple things I wanted to here, but we'll take care of that. There we go. Okay, so we are we are still in Massachusetts. The last couple in this series we did, covered several locations in and around Salem, Massachusetts, but now we're kind of out of that subset and onto other locations. And the first location we have here is probably one of the most well-known, and that is the Lizzie Borden House in Fall River, Massachusetts. The Lizzie Borden House in Fall River, Massachusetts, is both a historical landmark and one of the most... One second, I gotta move something. There we go. Let me see here. What's going on here? Something going on. Nope, okay. I don't know. Okay. Sorry about that. It looked like something had changed, but maybe not. So, it is historical landmark. Live shows, everyone. You never know. And one of the most notorious haunted locations in the United States, stemming from the unsolved 1892 axe murders of Andrew and Abby Borden. The house is now a museum and bed and breakfast where visitors can tour the crime scene and even spend the night. History of the Lizzie Borden house. The home at 92 2nd Street, now 230 2nd Street, was purchased in 1872 by Andrew Borden, a wealthy businessman, bank president who lived there with his wife, Abby, and daughters, Emma and Lizzie, along with their maid, Bridget Sullivan. Despite his prosperity, Andrew refused many luxuries of the time, such as indoor plumbing, opting for a practical middle-class home near his place of business. On August 4th, 1892, Andrew and Abby were brutally murdered inside the house. Abby was found upstairs in the guest room, struck approximately 19 times with a hatchet, while Andrew was discovered on the sitting room couch, his face mutilated beyond recognition, after about 10 blows. Lizzie, then 32, was accused of the murders, but denied involvement, claiming to have discovered the bodies. The sensational trial that followed drew national attention. Despite circumstantial evidence, such as her conflicting statements and an attempted purchase of prussic acid, Lizzie was acquitted in 1893, largely due to class and gender bias in her favor. After her acquittal, Lizzie and her sister Emma moved to a grander home in Fall River called Maplecroft, where Lizzie lived until her death in 1927. The 2nd Street residence changed hands multiple times throughout the 20th century. In the mid-1990s, it was converted into a bed and breakfast by the McGinn family, MCGIN, offering historical tours and overnight stays. Later owners, including Leanne Wilbur and Donald Woods, worked to restore the property to its 1892 appearance and attract tourism interested in its macabre legacy. Hauntings and paranormal activity. The Lizzie Borden house is considered one of America's most haunted houses or locations due to its violent past and long association with restless spirits. Visitors and paranormal investigators consistently report apparitions, cold spots, disembodied voices, and moving objects, especially in the rooms where the murders occurred. Common claims include doors opening or closing on their own, a shadowy figure seen in the parlor or on the staircase, a woman's reflection appearing in the basement. Basement mirror? Huh. Doesn't really say, but anyway, whispering voices or footsteps in empty rooms late at night. Some guests claim to have been touched, nudged, or even punched, that's not fun, by unseen forces, which some believe is the spirit of Andrew Borden himself. Which I don't understand that in a way, but anyway. Many visitors leave coins or small monetary offerings in his bedroom to appease him and avoid disturbing his presence. Others report hearing a woman crying upstairs, presumed to be Abby, or soft laughter associated with Lizzie. Ghost hunters generally classify the haunting as residual, suggesting that the traumatic energy of the murders has imprinted itself on the house rather than being the result of active conscious spirits. Today, the Lizzie Borden house continues to draw both paranormal enthusiasts and true crime historians, blending Victorian history, mystery, and ghostly legend into one of New England's most enduring and eerie attractions. So, I have, of course, anyone that's looked into any of these topics has probably heard of the location before. Gets brought up in a lot of your kind of haunted places TV shows or paranormal investigation shows, those kinds of things too. And I do wonder, again, it could be that the activity is residual. It could be, I always wonder about this, all of these people who have been made aware of these murders going there thinking about that, could that also leave energy behind and create thought forms that then are not the individuals involved, not the victims, not even whoever did the murders, but apparitions based on who people think killed or committed the murders, and apparitions based on the victims, but they're not necessarily them. I wonder how often that happens with these kinds of places that become these huge tourist attractions where over many years, decades probably at this point, hundreds if not thousands of people have been aware of the story of the events and gone through there and been thinking about this, and again amplified that, just that little bit of energy possibly from one person, but then you multiply that by thousands. I wonder how often that leads to activity. So, and Chef Pete in the chat says, I think the visitors amp up the energy like an energy sink. Yeah, that too. So all those things combined, I wouldn't be surprised if that causes things to happen. Not to say that there can't be entities there, just that I think that these other things are important to consider too. Moving on to the next location here. Let's see, this is the S.K. Pierce Mansion in Gardner, Massachusetts. It's also known as the Haunted Victorian Mansion. It's one of the most famous haunted houses in New England, which is ironic because I'd never heard of it until doing this, but I think I've heard of the S.K. Mansion, though, S.K. Pierce Mansion, but not the Haunted Victorian Mansion. Located at 4 West Broadway Street in Gardner, Massachusetts, the mansion's history and hauntings intertwined to form a chilling legend that has drawn both tourists and paranormal investigators from across the country. History. The mansion was built between 1873 and 1875 for Sylvester Knowlton Pierce, a wealthy furniture magnate whose company, S.K. Pierce and Sons Furniture Company, helped make Gardner famous as Chair City. Designed by E. Boyden and Son, a prominent Worcester, I'm probably saying that wrong, I apologize, architecture firm, the 7,000 square foot Victorian home featured 10 bedrooms, marble fireplaces, a 4-story tower, and intricately hand-carved woodwork. Construction took 100 men a year and a half to 100 men a year and a half. There we go. Let's try that again. Construction took 100 men a year and a half to complete. That made more sense. Sylvester Pierce's first wife, Susan, died mysteriously only weeks after moving in, which cast a shadow over the family's life there. Pierce remarried shortly after, but he himself died in 1888, leaving behind family turmoil and disputes over the estate. The mansion later operated as an inn, hosting distinguished guests such as President Calvin Coolidge, Norman Rockwell, P.T. Barnum, and Betty Davis. Over time, however, the grandeur faded, and by the 20th century, the house had fallen into disrepair. In the 21st century, new owners restored the home and reopened it as a venue for ghost tours and overnight paranormal stays. In September of 2025, it was sold again for $1 million to local buyers committed to preserving its haunted legacy. Hauntings. The S.K. Pierce Mansion is widely regarded as one of the top 10 most haunted homes in America, ranking number 2 in New England. Tragic events within its walls are said to have imprinted powerful residual energies on the property. Reports suggest multiple deaths occurred there, including the alleged death of a woman there in a red bedroom on the second floor. Visitors and investigators have reported phantom voices, chanting, and full-bodied apparitions, including shadow figures, slamming doors, moving furniture, and screens violently detaching from windows. Distinct temperature drops, foul odors, and an unearthly lion-like roar, believed to be Sylvester Pierce's spirit expressing anger. Physical contact such as pushing sensations on the stairs and even being nearly forced out a window. Paranormal researchers who have investigated the mansion call its entities some of the most powerful they have ever encountered, claiming that these spirits can manipulate electrical energy to move heavy objects. Among the spirits said to haunt the mansion are Sylvester and Susan Pierce, mourning their tragic fate, former servants and guests who experienced misfortune in the home, the woman in red, believed to be murdered, as mentioned earlier in this post, or in this summary here. That's where that part ends. Today, the S.K. Pierce Haunted Victorian Mansion operates as both a historical landmark and a paranormal attraction, continuing to fascinate visitors seeking contact with its tormented residents from the past. So, yeah, I always wonder about these huge places that are built by people with all kinds of money and huge families. It reminds me in its own way, not the same exactly, but I listened to an audiobook a while ago on hauntings across the UK, and so much of it, of the stories and the apparitions or the activity over there is it comes from all of the power struggles and politics and war and all these things going on within the quote unquote higher levels of society that lead to death and all these other things that seem to lead to these places being active locations for paranormal activity, whether it's actual consciousness or not. And I see similar patterns here with some of these mansions And I'm guessing it's probably the same elsewhere in other parts of the world where there are massive homes and things like that, where similar situations. But I always wonder about that, how much of that is sort of a byproduct of that much drama and things going on at that level of, I don't know, finance and politics and society and things like that. So, let's see how long this next section is here. Okay, well, we'll get through what we can. This next is I'm not sure how you say this, Hoosac Tunnel? The Hoosac Tunnel in North Adams, Massachusetts. This is one of America's most legendary engineering feats and haunted sites. Its long construction, tragic accidents, and eerie local legends have earned it the nickname the Bloody Pit for both its historical significance and reputation for supernatural activity. Historical overview. Construction of the Hoosac Tunnel began in 1851 and was completed in 1875, driven through Hoosac Mountain as a crucial rail link between Boston and the Midwest for the Troy and Greenfield Railroad. At 4.75 miles long, it was the longest tunnel in the United States until 1916. The tunnel's creation spurred innovations in engineering, including the first U.S. use of nitroglycerin in electric blasting caps, and advances in compressed air drilling technology. The project was beset by major financial and technical problems. Originally budgeted at $2 million, costs soared over $14 million, and it took nearly 25 years to complete. So it goes over tragedies and disasters here, talking about more than 190 to 200 workers died during the tunnel's construction. That is over so many years there, which is terrible still. Experiencing deadly cave-ins, gas explosions, and flooding. I'm going to skip to the haunting part here. You all can check out the articles for more details on the history. The tunnel has inspired countless ghost stories with reports of voices, shadowy figures, and apparitions believed to be spirits of deceased workers. Over the years, locals and visitors claim to hear moans, footsteps, haunting echoes inside the tunnel, and investigators have reported cold spots and ghostly presences. There are accounts from the 1980s of tape recordings picking up unexplained voices and faculty experiencing an oppressive presence within the tunnel. Some believe the area has long been forbidden, echoing indigenous legends about the mountain's spiritual dangers. So there's more here, but we are just about out of time for this episode. But I've heard of similar accounts of that when it comes to tunnels and literally punching holes through mountains. I mean, especially when you're figuring out how to do that, I can understand, unfortunately, why there would be accidents and death involved that could lead to paranormal activity. That's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.